Namaskaram peeps, this is Harishar from Melbourne Yatri MYT. On this channel, I share my thoughts, understanding, opinions on travel, tech and life experiences. This is one of the most underrated but highly powerful, mid-priced, awesome camera that is currently running on sale. I bought the Panasonic G9. Once upon a time considered a powerhouse. It's still powerhouse in my personal opinion. And I got this in an awesome deal where I got the cam with the 12 to 60 mm lens, micro four third lens, and the 25 mm f1.7 ASPH lens. All this to put together for around 1500 Australian dollars, Black Friday deal from JB Hi-Fi. Now this has been an amazing deal if you ask me from my perspective, because this camera helps me to go ahead and do professional grade photography and videography. So my main aim is to actually take it for videography, although there is a GH5 Mark II as well as GH6 as well as you have the Sony versions. Sony versions are too expensive for me, so hence I'm using the Panasonic one. I used to use Canon. I have Canon EFS lenses. I have an array of them, around 3 of them, and I'll do a separate review of it comparing Canon versus Panasonic. But the Canon mine was actually mirrorless, Canon M6 Mark II. I did not want to upgrade to Canon full frame because Canon full frame cameras, which make sense to do professional work, are extremely expensive. They're even expensive than Sony if I'm not wrong. This is the unboxing. So what I actually have here is the G9, Panasonic G9 camera, as well as the 12 to 60 mm micro four third lens, which is from AF 3.5 to 5.6 ASPH. So let me just open up the box and show you what is there in it. Obviously I couldn't stop my excitement, so I did try to take a sneak peek into them. It's pretty good packaging if you ask me, a pretty decent one, just like a Canon or a Sony. I did unbox them before. So you just have a bunch of documentation which is actually out there. You remove that. You have what is contained in the box in there. Remove that. And then the camera itself here. It looks like there's a bunch of accessories. So let me remove all of these out and then we can see what they are one by one. And then the camera itself and its body. So this is, long and behold, the G9. It looks absolutely awesome. Looks like it is a metallic build. I guess it's a magnesium build if I'm not wrong. And looks pretty cool. So you do get, the strap which is out here. So this is the strap as a accessory that you would get. It is a flip out screen, so you can flip it out, fully articulating flip out screen. It does have a rangefinder or viewfinder up here. If you put a finger on it, or when you actually take this closer to your eye, this would actually detect that someone is looking through the viewfinder and switch display across. So there is button here to go ahead and display whatever is captured. This is function 3. I'm a bit new to the Panasonic button layouts and systems, so I'll keep sharing as I understand what it is. I guess there are quite a few experts out there who know far more better than me, so you could either look up their videos and I'll definitely share my opinion about it. So this is something interesting that I do not have in my Canon M6 Mark II. That's basically the joystick. This is basically autofocus. So you have 3 modes: AFS, AFF, and then you basically have AFC, and then you have manual focus. So, and you could actually just log them up out there. Have another function button, pretty smooth actually wheel, and then you still have a toggling inside that, and then you have menu set. Then you have another function button, wow, or quick menu, and then you have a display. And on top, you're actually having this side, the mode selectors for which kind of scene which is there going on. And then on bottom of that, if you can see, you can actually, do a different kinds of scene selections or, maybe custom settings where you can immediately switch to 6K or a macro or a time lapse and stuff like that. So, well, once I power it on, maybe I'll have a better idea of that. Then one of the good things I liked was actually the display here to quickly see what the settings are and not always look at the LCD. Obviously, a separate record button here, and then you have this, I'm not sure what this button is for. One of the best things, or the reason why I actually picked the G9, is these 3. On the fly, I could select the white balance, ISO, and this EV, and then that's good. And obviously you have an on and off button. And then you have the selector here. You do have the a remote entry button here. This is one of the most biggest selling features to me, apart from the 4K 60p for 10 minutes, is dual card slot. So I'm able to have two cards, record simultaneously or one after the other, or photos in one, videos in one. Thereby, for all my professional level photography and videography needs, I'm a bit backed up with the kind of shooting I'm doing. Okay, obviously you actually have a battery cover. We'll go ahead and pop in a battery there. This is basically a weatherproof body or a weather sealed body, so it's good for splash, snow and stuff, or rain, mild rain, but I would not suggest you using it in rain. I mean, I'm always afraid using electronics in rain, including my own iPhone. So if you're going ahead and actually recording using an external mic, you're using this port, and then if you want to listen what you're recording so that you judge the audio quality, then you can actually use your headphones in here. And finally, the last port up here is HDMI. This is a full-size HDMI. It's not a mini HDMI. It's not a micro HDMI. This is a full-size HDMI. I'm amazed that there is a full-size HDMI actually in a camera. And obviously for charging, but this looks like a USB 3.0 kind of charging, which is out there. Almost all used in hard disk kind of connection. In front, I think this is some kind of a function button. This, if you open up, my friends, is basically where the micro third sensor is actually, 4x3, and then obviously there's the alignment one, and there's the locker pin, and this actually goes through the lock and unlock. Just close this up, put it aside to see the accessories that we're having. This is what we have in terms of accessories. So we obviously have a wall jack. It's an Australian plug because I live in Australia. You have the cable to connect the wall jack with the charger. This is a micro USB charger up there. This is rated for 5 volts DC. And then you actually have the battery itself. This battery is the 1860 milliampere battery, 14 watt hours. Wow, that's a lot of power, man. That's a lot of power. So obviously made in China. Yeah, it's the DMW BLF 19E battery actually. Manufactured in April 2022. Not bad, man. So all we gotta do is just pop this into the camera and see if there is any juice. Else we'll go ahead and charge it. This I'm not opening it up still because this is just to charge the battery or connect it to another system, and I don't need it as of now, so I'm not going to do anything. If I go ahead and try to pop in the battery, there you go. That's pretty smooth. And then just toggle this back in. It's a pretty nice toggle. You toggle this up, it comes out. Toggle back in, it goes in. Pretty rock solid build. So I have two SanDisk memory cards. Obviously these are micro SD cards, 128 GB. Extreme Pro versions actually, if I'm not wrong. Both of them. I used to use them on a Sony A7S III that I actually rented for a while to do shooting, and that's an awesome camera, but it's very expensive, man. Too expensive for me. Obviously I label them as 1 and 2, so I know what I'm actually trying to plug it in. Something. This is actually facing up. 2 goes in this way. Very good. That's it. And on. For the first time. It did on. It's a little bit amount of battery. It says, if you can see, very small amount of charge. You only have everything is getting recorded to memory card 1. Obviously you have only 30 minutes of recording. You have auto white balance enabled, ISO and auto right above that. So now the other good thing is, if you see this top pen, if you press it in, it locks you up in that area. So for example, if you're just making a movie, and then you don't want any of the other modes to accidentally touch and do it, but that you're doing personal movie or a professional work, just push this button in, and that's it. Your mode will not change, which is pretty cool. All I'm seeing is this display changing as I'm actually moving these tiles up. And then you have 3 custom configurations, C1, C2, C3. I think that's plenty actually. So if I open it up, so in the movie mode, this is interesting. If I click the shutter button, then it automatically starts recording. Oh, wow, that's pretty good, man. That's one thing better than my M6 Mark II, although there is no comparison between this and M6 Mark II. I would not do that, not be that stupid. But there is also dedicated record button if you want to use that. Else now. So I'll do a detailed review of actually the menu in up here. So now currently just unboxing. I also got to charge my battery up there. So let's go ahead and look at what's there in the lenses and see, how do they actually pair up. So this is the 12 to 16mm f 3.5 to 5.6 ASPH powered by optical image stabilization or OIS. This is basically like a kit lens that is coming in. So what do I have inside it? Yeah, good on them. They actually gave a lens hood. A lot of documentation, obviously, and then the lens by itself. If I remove all the documentation, then looks like I actually have a pretty good pouch. So I put this aside along with the documentation. So this is the lens itself, neatly bubble wrapped. Outside it's all the plastic wrapping, so it's basically the 12 to 60 mm micro four third lens. So its equivalent would be, because it's a 2x crop, 24 to 120 mm lens for a full frame camera. Obviously it's by Lumix. This is the front lens cap if you open it up, and the diameter is 58 mm. So if you have any kind of a 58 mm ND filters or all of that, would actually just go ahead and fit. Now the grooves for this is actually inside, not outside. So the grooves are actually inside. And then let me just see, if I open it up this way, oh, pretty much extends pretty good, man, 60. And then the other way around, 12 mm, okay. For micro four thirds, so that's there. If I'm going to go ahead and just open up the lens hood very quick. This is really nice, For some of the lenses that I used to have before, either I could just fit the lens hood or the ND filters or any other filters in the front. But in this case, I could actually have the lens hood fit, okay, pretty good, pretty neat, and still have the filters fit inside, because the grooving for this filters is actually inside, not outside. For this particular lens in the front, the outside one is for the hood, the inside one is actually for the filters. This is something I really appreciate. I think it's a bump in a quality from the EFM lenses that I was actually using. And this fits. Wow. Final part of this unboxing is the 25mm f1.7 ASPH. Honestly, if anyone knows what ASPH, please do comment below. This is again a micro four thirds a lens. So this is like a nifty 50 equivalent in the Canon world, right? So obviously you have a lens hood provided by them again. Pretty good. So nice lens hood. I'm really happy, with every lens I'm actually getting a lens hood. Now there is no carry pouch with this, but this is pretty small camera by itself, but a bunch of documentation in there. This is so small. This is so small. Wow. Maybe that's the impact of micro four thirds system altogether. So this is the 25mm 1.7, as I was saying, right? Or f1.7. And equivalent to a nifty 50 in the full frame world. Obviously, if you open up the back side, then this is the glass with all the pins. That's the connection. And these are all metal ones, they are not plastic ones. Really like that. And on the front end, you actually have a ring. Now, because this is of actually a fixed focal length of 25 mm, there is nothing that moves. When I do this, there is no movement, so it's just right above there. So I'm assuming it's just a focus ring which goes across. Let's see, once I actually start using it. So again, same. So this is something interesting I've seen for the first time in a lens. So if I don't have a lens hood like this one, then there is already a protective ring around that lens hood, grooves right here. So I have to remove this and then put on the lens hood. And now once I have the lens hood, all I need to do is just put the cap in. But then I'm always protected by my lens, and also, if any kind of flaring is coming from the side or any different kind of angle of sun or light, I'm able to protect it and also not bash something into the lens by itself if I'm going too close. It's 0.25 meters to infinity kind of thing, in terms of focus areas. We have the Lumix 12 to 16 mm micro four thirds, which is equal to 24 to 120 mm in terms of full frame camera. and this is f3.5 to f5.6, and this is the Lumix 25mm f1.7, which is equivalent to 50mm in the full frame arena. This, along with this camera, is what I actually got all in for $1,500. I think I had a wonderful deal. That's my personal opinion. Let me know what do you all feel. I'm looking forward to improve my quality of photos as well as videos in both for my personal shoots as well as for my professional shoots. Thank you, stay safe and peace. Hope you have actually enjoyed this video. Please go ahead and give it a thumbs up if you did. A sub would be absolutely awesome so that you can keep watching more content that I actually produce. And please to share it with your friends and colleagues, anyone whom you think would actually benefit from this content.